Hi Stitchy friends, it's the Daydream Stitcher, Mary. I'm here to do a mid-year WIP parade. Today is June 16th, 2022, and I am back. I've been gone a little while, a little over a month. I haven't done any videos. I want to thank my friends for checking up on me and reaching out to me and, just saying, hey, are you okay? And I so appreciate that. Thank you so much to all of you. If you're new here, I hope you enjoyed this WIP parade and all of my WIPs and that you will come back. And if you're returning, thank you again for clicking on this video and for being one of my Stitchy friends. I'm so thankful to be part of this community, and I will talk more about that at the end if I have time. Well, I'll definitely make time. So I know I like to get right into the stitching. My hair is a little bit different today. This is more my natural state. I tried to kind of wave it a little bit because I never know what to do with wavy hair, especially I'm in Florida in the United States, and it's very hot and humid. It was 98 degrees yesterday. And so I normally use a straightener on it, but it needs a cut. So anyway, I'm just trying to work with what I've got. But we're not here to talk about hair. I'm sure you're not here to talk about hair. If you do want to talk about hair and hear about hair, that would be crisscross stitch. You would want to go over there and you can hear all about brushing hair. It's super fun. I do want to announce the giveaway winner first thing. The giveaway winner for the 123 Stitch, I can't even talk anymore. The 123 Stitch gift card. It's a $20 gift card to celebrate my 2,000 subscribers milestone, is the Violet Stitcher. Congratulations, Violet Stitcher. Could you please put your email address either in one of my videos, either the last video under your comment, or if that's hard to find, you could put it under this one, or you can contact me on Instagram, which is the Daydream Stitch, or it's just Daydream Stitcher, I think. You can contact me over there. I will delete your email address if you do comment with it below. I just want to make sure it's coming from the same account. So congratulations for that. I clicked on her profile name on the comment, and it turns out she has a Flosstube also. So I'm looking forward to checking those out. I'm not familiar with her, and I'm really looking to checking her out and seeing her Flosstubes. And I encourage you all to go over and do the same because I think she just has a couple of videos. So enough about that. I'm going to get into my WIPs. This again is June 2022. I was thinking in preparation to do this, I was thinking I didn't have much progress to show, but I went back and flipped through my January WIP parade. I like to do my WIP parades twice a year, in January at the beginning of the year, and again in June, July in the middle, to kind of see where I've gotten and hopefully set some goals for the end of the year. What else? Yeah, so I do have more progress than I realized on many of these. However, many have a long way to go to be finished. So I'll have to see what is what and what is most furthest completed. So as usual, I'm just pulling from my stack, just my WIPs that are just thrown in my basket here. I did manage to pull most of them out of the project bag, so hopefully there won't be too much of that going on. We're gonna keep our fingers and toes crossed that my camera decides to focus. I've tried to make this a couple of times, and you know how it goes. It's just, I spent the whole morning today trying to figure out these camera settings again. And just when I think I have it figured out, my camera goes and does something else entirely. And it looks fine on my camera, like this big, but then when I put it on my computer, a lot of times it's not focusing on the stitching. So we're going to hope that this time is the charm. So my first up is called A Gentle Needle. And this is charted, I think if I hold it back kind of where I am, maybe it's more likely to focus. This is charted by Monticello. I call it Monticello Stitches. She calls it Monticello Stitches. It's the town that she's from in Georgia, so I guess she would know better. But this is called A Gentle Needle, and it's charted to say a gentle needle soothes the restless heart. But she had mentioned on one of her Flosstubes that she should have done the anxious heart. So I bought the pattern and I messaged her and said, could you send me the lettering to do anxious heart? And she sent me the whole thing already charted out, which was awesome. So I chose to do that one. And I started this in June of last year for cross stitch camp. I don't know what I was thinking to finish this in a month, which I didn't. But it ended up getting put on timeout because this urn here was not symmetrical. In fact, there were quite a lot of things that weren't symmetrical. The motifs are repeated, as you can see on each side. And I was getting frustrated because there would be stitches that were one here and one there that didn't match the other side. And I was not too thrilled with that. I changed them. It was easy to change those, but when I got to the urn was not symmetrical. It wasn't lining up. This part down here was not lining up, and I was taking it out, redoing it, and taking it out, and then trying to draw it out myself, and I finally got where I'm happy with it. And I do want to say, I'm not even sure that those things were not on purpose, because the little bit that I know about samplers, I don't stitch samplers much. This is very out of my wheelhouse. This is not my typical style. From the little bit that I've learned on Flosstube, a lot of samplers are intentionally not symmetrical. And a lot of times there will be a one-off stitch here and there from the reproduction samplers that the girls would stitch and maybe make an error, but also intentional, like this newly charted sampler. That may be a purposeful thing. I can't speak to that, and I'm definitely not criticizing the pattern at all. It was very easy to make them symmetrical to make me happy. And now that that urn is done, I'm super happy and I'm ready to finish the whole thing. Thank goodness. I'm hoping to get this done this year. And this is stitched on a 28 even weave that I bought years ago at Joan by MCG Textiles. It's a really heavy, thick fabric. I don't know what you would call it. It's not Lugana or Jobelin. I know that for sure. It's not Monaco either. I don't know what it is. I couldn't tell you. Sorry, but it's perfect for that piece. So I'm loving that. And those are in DMC. Those are all stitched 2/2 in DMC. Next up is my Historical Women. This is a pattern by Good Morning Maui on Etsy. And this is stitched on a 32 count Lugana called Icicle. It's an opalescent version, and it's from Under the Sea Fabrics. My daughter, when she was 7, chose this fabric. And there are a total of, I guess it's 6 and 6, 12 women on it. So I almost am finished with the top row. Again, I don't know if this is going to focus, but if not, I apologize. Maybe if I get out of the way. This is Cleopatra, Empress Wu, Lady Godiva, Joan of Arc, Marie Antoinette, Jane Austen, and then here almost finished is Sacagawea. Then on the bottom is Susan B. Anthony, and starting to come in with her hat and her face is Harriet Tubman. And there's obviously another 6 on the bottom. So that is on DMC 2/2. And that should be finished this year as well. Here is my Ladybird Fairy. This is Joan Elliott. I try to always have a Joan Elliott going. She's one of my favorite designers. This is stitched on a 32 count Lugana. If you see a theme, that's my favorite. It's called Beachbound on a fabric that I don't think the dyer is making them anymore. It was called Hand Dyed Happiness. I have several of her fabrics, and I wanted to do her on a light blue summer sky. And it's all in DMC so far. There will be there is some Krynic in here. I started putting some of the Krynic in. But then there will be lots of beading. Those white dots that are empty, those are for beads. Or Krynic. They might be for Krynic too. It's a variety. So I have made some progress on her this year. She's always a pleasure to stitch. I wouldn't normally name red and yellow as favorite colors, but I find her so cheerful and I'm so joyful when I'm stitching her. She's such a happy piece, and those colors they really do make me happy. This is Green Courtyard in the Shire by Cute Patterns by Maria on Etsy. This was started in 2020 on a 16 count Aida in the color Parchment, which is a dark ivory. And it's in DMC and 2/2. And it's over halfway done. So really, again, if I choose some pieces and really focus on them for a few months. I've got some finishes hopefully by the end of the year. Now I'm going to try to show you what's on my Q-snap. When I was testing, this did not show up well, so I'm going to try, and it is what it is. But if I hold it back here, I don't know if that will show up if I hold it still. This is called the lecture. I'll try to hold it closer, but I don't know if it's going to focus. There's skin tones here that are kind of blending in with the background. This is a picture of this plus called Helix in 32 count linen. And this piece was sold by an Etsy designer called Lola Lotta Shop. And Lola Lotta Shop had so many cool designs. I had so many of their designs on my wish list. Mostly Russian and Ukrainian, or probably all Russian and Ukrainian designers. And it's been over a year, maybe the year, I don't know, it's been a while. They disappeared from Etsy. I knew a number of people had moved from Etsy to their own web page because of Etsy fees or whatever. And they moved. And they had a website, and then the website disappeared, and the people, nobody really seemed to know, at least in my circles, what had happened to them. And then I saw someone say, I think on Facebook or Reddit or something, that Lola Shop had taken her page down because it's Lola Lotta Shop. She had taken her page down because she'd been hacked into a couple of times and she was having problems with her website. And as far as I don't know that she ever came back. So all of that to say that I wanted to go on and stitch. I started the lecture on my birthday, or my birthday month. I started 4 things last year for my birthday. And so the lecture was one of them. And I stitched a little bit on it, a very little bit on it. I think I stitched 1 or 2 days. And I had the PDF file, and I only printed out the symbol chart, colors, and the 2 pages in the middle where I was starting to start out. Because the chart's cool because it comes with tons of pages. Because it comes with a black and white pattern, a color pattern, a separate back stitch pattern, because there's so much back stitch in it. It covers, a lot of the symbols. So that's a separate one. And then there's one in black and white, and then there's one in color for back stitch. So there's 4 different actual versions of it. So anyway, I thought it was on at least one of my PCs. We have several PCs in the house. And it was on my phone, and I couldn't find, well, it's a whole other story. I might talk about it at the end, but I have a new phone, and I lost my I didn't lose it. It's not working. My old phone's not working. So I didn't have access to that PDF on my phone. I don't know how to get anything off of my phone because it's completely fried. So long story short, I couldn't find it anywhere in my files. I should have backed it up to my Google Drive or somewhere on my cloud. And so I wanted to work on it. This is one of my favorite pictures, and I was so upset. I went on and I found the pattern. So it is available if anyone else wants to buy this pattern. I found it on a website called Julia's Cross Stitch Club, which is crossstitchclub.com. And she has some of the European designers' PDF digital files. I found several that I really liked on there and put it on my wish list. But I bought this one, and I was able to, I made sure I backed it up, and I was able to get stitching again. I printed out the whole thing this time for my binder. So hopefully I'm good going forward. This piece is not for the faint of heart. Oh my goodness, it is not for when I'm tired, that is for sure. It is full of blends. It is full of fractional stitches. And when I say fractional stitches, it's not just half stitches or quarter. I mean, it is quarter stitches, but I don't quite understand. Some of them, they have you do 4 of the same color in the square. So you do 4 teensy tiny one. And I'm not real sure. I mean, maybe that gives it a different texture. I've seen that a lot when you have a back stitch, when you have a break between 2 colors, but I haven't really seen it in the middle of something. So that's kind of interesting, but it's fun to work on. It's definitely a challenge, and it keeps me it keeps me on my toes. So I do love it, and I can't wait to be able to show more of it to you. This is, I have no idea which way is up and which way is down. This is Dolphin's Domain by Dimensions. It's a Dimensions kit that I started with my friend Ashley at Wayward Stitcher. She's been working on this year, and I think she started last year for Winter the Dolphin, who was a dolphin that lived here near me in Clearwater, Florida, at the Clearwater Marine Aquarium. And unfortunately, Winter passed away. I think it was in November. I hope I'm right, but several months ago. And so Ashley was touched, and she decided to start that, and she's way further than me. So next up is my Teresa Wentzler. This is called The Minstrel. I feel like the colors are washed out here. Goodness only knows what this is going to look like when I put it on my PC. So no promises, but here we are. And this really, I don't think is much further, if at all, since I last showed it. But it is stitched on a 28 count even weave. I think it was just marked 28 count even weave that I bought on 123 Stitch. It's an ivory, and it's done in DMC and Krynic 2/2. And the little minstrel guy is coming in here. This is a tree and his head, and then there's a dragon. I just love the colors in that one. I think she's so pretty. My daughter's friend is calling her on my phone. My daughter is such a social butterfly. She's so in demand. She's always got somebody calling or inviting her over. This one you've seen probably a lot if you watch Flosstube or you're on Instagram. This is Modern Folk Embroidery's Fruits of Plenty. This was his 2021 stitch along, which now many of us are doing in 2022 under the hashtag Still Fresh Fruit Sal. And I'm stitching this along with crisscross stitch and many others. Way far behind as far as the months go. I do have most of January, most of February done, and I did manage to start March. And I think I might actually pull this one out again today because I love it. Every time, especially when I hold it up on video, it's stunning. So I'm doing this in 36 count. I'm doing it on 36 count linen called Silver Moon from Zweigart. And I'm doing it 2/2 with DMC 37.50 for the dark and $7.99 for the light. This one is Lindy Stitches, Cats Love Christmas. It comes with 3 designs. This one was finished in 2020. This one was finished earlier this year. I think I just had, last time on my WIP parade, I think I just had like some of this, and I finished that. It says Ho Ho No, Cat Eviction Notice. This is what sold me on the design. I thought it was too adorable. And then I started on this one, which is like how many accident-free days, like from, I guess, the cat knocking the tree over or something. And of course it's 0 free days. It's stitched on a 28 count Glacier from Picture This Plus in probably a Lugana. I think it's an even weave. And I hope to get that finished and get those on the made as ornaments and finished up. I feel like I was going to say something else about that one, but now it slipped my mind, so I'm going to move on. I'm embarrassed to show this one. If you've watched my other videos recently, you've seen this. Well, for years you've seen this. I actually have an old video on this channel from 2017. So like I had started another channel, and I had the other Mary Beasley channel, and then I had this channel. And so, but I have this old video from 2017 that is marked private, and I would make it public, except that my understanding is that when I make it public, it will show as new. Like the published date would be today, and it's not. But I was looking at it, and it shows this one. This is my Oh Holy Night Nativity. This is charted by Stony Creek. It's an older pattern, but it's still readily available at pretty much anywhere. And it is done on a 32 count Wexford linen, which is a lovely, lovely fabric. Every time I pull this out, I just have to rave about the fabric. It's so lovely. It's an old silk weaver fabric that I bought on eBay. It's a solo dye. There's no name for it, pretty much just a solid blue. This is the perfect shape and the perfect color for this piece, I think. And it's from the old Silk Weaver before they were owned by the current company. And this is stitched in DMC 2/2, and there is also, what is it called? Rainbow Gallery is the metallics, which is kind of like a filament that's stitched along with the DMC cotton. And there's a lot of beading in it. So a lot of times I pull it out and I'll say, oh, I don't have that much to do. I'll be done with this in like a couple weeks. And then I realize like there really is a lot more to do. So this is kind of broken up because my camera likes to take breaks. And so it decides after a while that it wants to stop. And I'm not sure why, because I have plenty of battery on it. I have plenty of room on my camera, and it'll just be like, nope, I'm ending now. And it's one thing that's very frustrating about that is I can cobble them together, but I have to reset the focus every time. So I'm just praying that I don't mess that up and then it's focused again. I had that problem when I did it yesterday. The beginning was fine, and then when I went to restart it again, it wasn't fine. So this is another dimensions kit. I love my dimensions kits. This is called Japanese Garden. This one, as some of you know, I lost this half of the pattern. The pattern comes in halves, this half and this half, left and right. And I keep hoping it's going to turn up because I really, really, really want to work on this. And I haven't been able to find it. I'm convinced that it's got to be somewhere, and then I will find it because I have misplaced other things and found them when I declutter or something. And I don't really want to work on this side because what if I don't find this side? I may just end up rebuying the pattern. I keep hoping to find it pop up on eBay. I watch out for like dimensions pattern. Next is Matter in Hand Sal. This is from Jeanette Douglas Designs, and I started this with the Steadfast Stitcher Beth and Maria at Cup of Stitches, and Nithya at Daybreak Stitchery is also stitching this with us, as well as a couple of others. And we're going to put extra, I know Beth is putting in several extra words. It says cross stitch in different languages, which I think is really cool. And we actually talked about putting in Ukrainian as well. So we started this May 1st, and this is as far as I got. This is a 36 count vintage country mocha, which we hear so much about on Flosstube. I see it all the time, and this is my first time stitching on it, and I really like it. And this is stitch 1/1, and I'm just using the DMC conversion. It calls for all fancy flosses, and I just didn't have them available when I started, when the time came that we were supposed to start, so I just went with the DMC, and it's fine. This is my Mira that's currently in my WIP pile. This is Stargazer. Stargazer is stitched on 32 count Lugana in Whimsical Winter from Under the Sea Fabrics. Haven't gotten progress on her this year, I don't think. She gets tricky for me because there's so many spaces to put the beads that I get a little mixed up as to, what's not actually stitched and what's supposed to be there for beads. This mess of a thing is Blue Jays. It's a Riolis kit, and I love it. This was my New Year, New Start for 2022, and my friend Ashley, a Wayward Stitcher, who keeps coming up, I heard that she was starting it, so I was like, I have the kit in my stash, let me start with you, please. And it was the Stitch Along was hosted by Cat Talks and by Calico Whimsy, Christine, and they're long since finished with it. And here I am, plugging away a little by little. The Riolis kits this is the kit fabric, which is, I think, probably a 14 count. I don't remember off the top of my head. Recently, I've been watching a lot of Flosstube to get my stitchy bug back. And I've noticed that a number of people have talked about, they've heard bad things about Riolis floss. So Riolis uses their own kind of specialty blend of floss, which is an acrylic wool. So it's part wool, it's not 100%. It's not quite a yarn, like it's not that heavy, but it's definitely different than DMC. And I know that some people don't like it, and that's fine. I've heard a number of people express their frustration with it, and even scrap kits. But I've also heard people say that they have Riolis kits that they like, but they don't want to start them because of the floss, but they're not sure because they haven't tried it. I just want to throw in, I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again because I'm still hearing this a lot, that I think that if you haven't tried it, you should give it a go because you might not hate it. I actually really like it. It has a unique fluffiness to it. It's really good coverage. I don't really care too much about the whole coverage thing. But if you're, if you care about really good coverage, it's excellent coverage. It produces a really nice look that's a little bit different than a lot of cross stitch. It's almost like a tapestry look, and I really like it. So I highly recommend that if you haven't tried it, obviously if you have and you don't like it, then don't stitch with it, but give it a try. See what you think, just for something different. And then if you don't like it, you can just send me your Euless kit, okay? Thanks. I'll be hearing from you. This is Lindy Stitch's Mary Needleworker. This one was my 2021 New Year start. This is stitched on the called for fabric, 32 count linen in Bramble from Picture This Plus in Weeks Dye Works flosses, all called for. This skirt is massive, you guys. Stephanie, what were you thinking? No, just kidding. At least it's in a beautiful color. It's this beautiful sea foam, and so I'm just trying to get that filled in this year. And then there are the accessories on the sides and things, but I think I need to get that filled in first. And then I'll feel maybe more like doing, or like back and forth, maybe some skirt and then some accessories or whatever, maybe. Next up is my Victorian home from Artisy. This one I have shown this year quite a few times. It is stitched on, stitched on 18 count Aida. This was started in 2013, so it's only about 12% done. I've been feeling a little discouraged lately at how dark it is. I keep justifying it and saying that it's an optical illusion and that once the other colors get filled in, that it'll be fine, it's all good. But lately I've just kind of felt like a little discouraged because I started putting in the flowers down here, I put in some reds, there's yellows, there's a lot of green lawn here that I think will offset that, but when I put the reds in, I started to feel like, oh dear, it really is dark. It's not brightening up. But again, I do think that in time, that when the lawn starts to fill in more and maybe some of the green trees around it, that it will help lighten the piece because it's against the white background. So that just makes it look darker. This is my Soda Stitch. Soda Stitch always makes me so happy. I love Soda Stitch so much. I am doing I started a sale with my friend Amber at Rogue Mama Stitcher, who's wonderful. Please, I hope you're watching her. If not, go check her out, especially if you like Soda Stitch, because she is the queen of Soda Stitch here on Flosstube. There is no question. She's completed this piece. This is Yoga Cats. She's got this one up and framed, and for her sale that we started, she's doing one called Lunch of Love, which is adorable, as all Soda Stitch patterns are. This is done on a hand-dyed by Rolanda fabric in 28 count, even weave, that was gifted to me by Amber, and I just love it. I think it's so pretty. Such pretty watercolor pictures. Amber, if you like Soda Stitch, Amber just did a parade of her Soda Stitch patterns that she has collected over the years. She has a lot of out-of-print ones that I've never seen before, and she did a 3-part series on that, showing those off. It was super fun. Her commentary cracked me up. I had so much fun. I actually watched them several times, so they were such a great enjoyment. And Amber, that was one of the big things that helped me get my stitchy bug back. When I was struggling getting that stitchy bug to rear its head again, watching those videos really got me wanting to do Soda Stitch and get the stitching back in the Q-snap. So I thank you for that. I'm going to try to do the focus again because I always panic that it's not going to focus. So I'm poking you. This is a Long Dog sampler called Do Different. This is stitched in DMC 310, all black. I started it last November for Black Sampler November that was hosted by Jacob of Modern Folk Embroidery. Unfortunately, I did not start one of his, but I did start this one in black. This is stitched on 25 count Lugana 1/1. and it's a really big piece. And this is where I am. When I say I don't stitch samplers much, I do love Long Dog. I mean, their samplers I feel like are kind of a different style than what I think of typically, like the older samplers. I mean, I enjoy watching other people stitch them. I just haven't really gotten into collecting this because I have so many other things going on, as you can see. So before I start stitching samplers. This is my biggest project that I have started to date, and it's dirty. No surprise. This is a huge piece. I don't even remember how big this thing is. This is a pattern from Cross Stitch Studio called Reading by the Window. This thing is over 600,000 stitches, so I chose to do it in tent stitch, which tent stitch is a little challenging for me. I've talked about this before, which is kind of weird because it's just half cross stitches. But when I'm counting, I find that I depend on those X's, so I have to think of it in a different way. So I don't know what's going on with that. I haven't made any progress on that. I started stitching that with my friend Nicole, who's Stitchy Lemon, and she has been working on it every day, and she's making great progress. She's starting in the upper left corner. I started in the middle because I wasn't sure I wanted to stitch all of the brown around it just because it's so huge, and I figured that way I could see how it was looking if I ever get on with that. And of course that's stitched 1/1 with the half stitch, the DMC. This is my Halloween Quaker. I guess I might as well open it up like that. See if I have it the right way. Halloween Quaker is by Leela's Studio, and this is on a 40 count pewter linen from Picture This Plus. I started this, I think, last spring. Michelle Bendy Stitchy was doing Zoom chats, and the only qualification was that you had to be stitching this piece at that time. She's moved on, she's finished this one. But I really wanted to be in a Zoom chat with her at the time, so I got this kitted up and I started it. And I haven't really made much more progress since then. Because that 40 count, oh my goodness, I have to have just the perfect setup for that, and I don't usually. So it puts me off from stitching on it, but I do love it on the 40 count. This is another Dimensions kit called A Treasured Time. I love this scene. Isn't that a lovely, peaceful scene? Well, yeah, I guess it is Christmas because there are garlands and there's a Christmas tree. And I did work on this week some. I filled in more sky, and I finished the bridge. I started working on that second house. I worked on some of the skaters a little bit. And again, hopefully it's focusing. You're gonna get tired of me saying that. As if that will make it focus if I say that. Or it's some kind of excuse. If anybody knows how, like a surefire way to help me make sure that my camera focuses every single time that I do a video, I would really appreciate it, because I have scoured the internet and YouTube over and over and over and over, and I've watched all the things and read all the things that I can find, and I know the settings and they go over the settings, but I can't really find much about the autofocus or the focus for the videos. The only thing I found was some people having the same problem that were asking on some forums, and the people that answered were kind of jerks about it. They were like, well, I guess if you don't want to read the manual, too bad. I guess you don't know what you're doing. Like, are you not following the manual? Like, probably. But it's not working. So it's very hit or miss. Like, I feel like what works one time for autofocus is great, and then other times it doesn't. So like I said, I did some test runs on this again today, and I was like, yay, I got it. I finally figured it out. And then I did the exact same thing again, and I didn't got it. So I don't know what's going on. Don't know what's going on. That's my motto in life. But I know this is going on. This is my heaven and earth. This is called the Treasure Hunt Bookshelf. The original designer is Amy Stewart. And it is stitched on a 25 count 1/1 in DMC. And this is where I am. Obviously. Well, obviously. Yes. So, I don't know what to say about this. I filled in more this year. I've worked on it. I don't currently have access to my Pattern Keeper app. Well, I do. I have access to my app, but I don't have my current files in there. that's a whole other process because of my phone situation. So anyway, those pieces aren't getting pulled out until I get that figured out. Halloween, Sleepy Hollow by Glendon Place. And this is what I have so far. I started this last summer of 2021 with Chris Cross Stitch when he pulled this out to start, and I worked on it during the summer as part of Spooky Summer Stitch, which was super fun. I can't wait to get back to it. I really enjoyed stitching Halloween over the summer. So both Halloween and Christmas, I'm looking forward to stitching on. It's so hot here. I don't know, did I already say? Yeah, I already said it was 98 yesterday. It's miserable. Someone was telling me recently that it was 75 degrees, and I'm in the US, so it's Fahrenheit. And someone was telling me recently that it was 75 degrees Fahrenheit. And they were like, oh my gosh, like summer's officially here, and I'm so, I hate this hot weather. I'm like, don't even use those words. It's not hot weather. 75 degrees, we're like totally bundled up down here. Here's some more Halloween. This is Halloween Night. It is charted by Imaginating from the artwork of Sandra Cozzolino. And I don't have that much more to do. I just have to finish this sky up here and the border and the rats on the bottom and the lettering. I feel like there was something I was going to leave off this, but I can't remember now, so I don't know what it was. So I won't talk about it. How about that? This is Luca S. This is called Paris in Bloom, and I worked on this quite a bit this week, actually, getting my stitchy bug back, and thoroughly enjoyed it. This is a full coverage piece on 18 count. It's a kit from Luca S., which is a Moldavian company. Is it Moldavan? I don't think there's an I in there, but it feels weird to say that. Moldava? Sorry, I should look that up. I know it's in Europe. It's a European company, and they're just beautiful. Their patterns are beautiful, and so I really love this. And there's where I am. I'm trying to kind of work my way up. I started in the middle and kind of working my way up to the top left there. Slowly but surely. This design is called Kitten with Ribbon. This is Custom Crafts. It's a full coverage done on 18 count Aida with DMC. And I have a lot to do on this one still, but I like it. It's bright and cheerful and fun. A little blurrier than I would like, but maybe once it's done, it won't look quite so blurry. It's a bit pixelated. I have seen a number of custom crafts in person, finished and framed, and they looked amazing, so that keeps me going. This is my giant Harry Potter. Giant Harry Potter is there. And I did work on this. This was one of my calls for WIP Go this year, and so I worked on it. I finished the Hogwarts sign, not the Hogwarts sign, the Hogwarts Express sign in the middle, the platform 9 3/4, the red banner there in the middle. And then I finished what else did I? Well, no, I didn't finish, but I did more work on the flourishes, those blue kind of fancy scrolly things. And I filled in some more of the Ravenclaw banner. I changed the Ravenclaw banner to blue and bronze. I think in the movie it's blue and silver. So in the book it's blue and bronze, and so that I did. That's the end of that's everything I had in my basket. I feel like there's more. I always feel like there's more. I know there's more. I'm sure there's more. But that's what we're getting today, because those are the ones that were most available. There's a number of them I can think off the top of my head, like my Christmas owls that's not done, and yeah, we won't worry about that. So that's it for my WIP parade for June 2022. Thank you for being here with me. I'm so glad that you stopped by. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, and my stitching styles appeals to your taste, I hope that you will hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and like, and hit the bell, and all the things my teen son tells me that I'm supposed to say. It does mean a lot, though. I appreciate all of you for coming by, and all your kind comments, and thank you. It means so much. If you were just here for the WIP parade and you want to click on to the next video, I will bid you adieu and hope to see you next time. Have a great week. So, if you're still here, I want to say just quickly how much I adore my stitchy friends. I lost my stitchy bug a couple of weeks ago, and there was a series of unfortunate events, I will say, that led up to that I didn't really think of at the time, but in hindsight, I think is what happened, because it's very rare for me to lose my stitchy bug. It's part of who I am. I've been stitching for 30 years and I very rarely put it down. I mean, I put it down, but I mean, consistently, it's been a consistent hobby. I walk around with it in my hand and I just stitch all day and I do nothing else. I just am constantly stitching. No. But you know what I mean. It's been a hobby that I've rarely lost my stitchy bug, my stitchy mojo. This is called rambling for a reason. So a couple of things happened that I won't get into the details, but basically, I guess I could say it didn't work out for me to go to my first local stitching retreat like I had hoped. And then that same following week, my stitching stash that I had organized, my WIPs and had everything organized, was rummaged through and dumped over and dumped through, and that was really, really, really frustrating for me. It was because somebody was looking for something in the closet. They didn't purposely destroy my things, but they were trying to find something and they just threw the whole closet vomited. I had them in these, and even these, you would think that you would just set them aside, but no, I came into disaster. So that happened within the same week that I couldn't go to the stitching retreat. And then a couple days later, my phone got accidentally dropped in our pool. And that was the end of that phone. And so getting a new phone was a complete ordeal. I can't even tell you, even just getting the phone, I don't know why. I guess I'm just not really tech savvy. But I wanted to do all this research because I wanted to upgrade. And, I get overwhelmed with that. And I get that from my mom. She's like that. She'll take weeks and weeks and weeks to research things and read all the reviews. And I mean, it's great. It's great that that's available. So I was doing that and I was like, you know what? At some point, I just have to break down and buy something. I just got to get something. Because I was driving around, I was driving out of town on the interstate with no phone. How did we do that? How did we ever do that? We traveled across country in the car by ourselves at 19 years old with no cell phone. I can't even imagine that now. Anyway, okay, 2342. 2342 is the magic number, apparently, that my camera decides that it's time to cut off, that I'm rambling too long. So here we are again. Enough about that. Anyway, I got my cell phone and then I hadn't been stitching. And I didn't put Instagram back on my phone, and I didn't attempt to access it from the PC. And I missed it, but because I wasn't stitching, I was definitely thinking about my friends, my stitchy friends, but it never occurred to me that any of them might be missing me or wondering where I was. And then I heard from Amber, who's Rogue Mama, on Facebook, and she reached out to me asking if I was okay and just checking in with me. And I was so touched that wow, she cares, and then she told me that other people were asking, and I went on, I did get Instagram, and I went on, and I had quite a few messages from people, and it just made me feel so good. Thank you so much, all of you that reached out to me just to say hey and check in. You all are wonderful. All of you are wonderful. What a community we have. I'm so excited. I hope that I get to meet some of you in person. I am registered for Stitch North next year, the April weekend in Canada. This is way out of my current comfort zone, so I don't know. And family things and finances, I don't know for sure that I'm going to be able to go. But if I'm able to go, I'm going to go because I really, 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 really want to go. And then there is a Mirabilia retreat in Charlotte, North Carolina, 2023 that I'm really excited to go to too. So I'm hoping that works out as well, because there's a couple of Flosstubers going that I would love to meet there as well. So, but meanwhile, I'm just blown away, and I love you all so much. So thank you so much. I really, really, really appreciate it. And you know who you are. And I'll give you a shout out and tag you as well. But you know who you are, and so thank you. As I mentioned, I've been watching a lot of Flosstube lately, and catching up on all my favorites. That's been super fun. I'm sorry I missed some things along the way. And so I was glad to find those videos and catch up. But then also I found a lot of new Flosstubers, like they're popping up all the time. I found several that I want to shout out that stood out to me off the top of my head. I didn't write them down, so we're going to hope I get the details right. And then I have quite a few new ones that I was watching, so I will hopefully mention more in my next video, whenever that is. The first one that I want to mention is Corey Creates. Corey Creates is in Missouri, I think, and she's been stitching for quite a long time, and she's got beautiful things to show. She right now is working on a Heaven and Earth design that she's making great progress. She tends to stitch on the same thing a lot, so that's fun because then you get to see a lot of progress. I'm amazed at what a quick stitcher she is. So she's wonderful. She's lovely. So Corey Creates is a definite, check her out, definitely. And then I watched Nitty Nat Stitcher, but she is not new to Flosstube. But I caught up with her. I've heard her mentioned by some other Flosstubers, and so I was excited to check her out. She's in Australia, and she's a lovely, calm demeanor. I watched her latest WIP Parade and really enjoyed it. I highly recommend her. Her name is Natalie. And I watched Milk Thistle, who's also in Australia. Her name's Kate, and Kate lives on a farm in Australia. And she also has a very calming, lovely demeanor, kind of almost ASMR voice. And she's kind of getting new. She's kind of new. She's not getting new. She is new to cross stitch relatively, and just kind of getting, dipping her toe in. And she's got a number of WIPs to show. She does some country cottage needleworks, which are one of my favorite designers. So I really enjoyed seeing what she's doing, and she's already doing color conversions and things like that. So go see her. And then last but not least is Bridget at the Museum Stitcher. It's not Bridget, it's Bridget, which I think is so cool. It's so unique. And Bridget is, she works in a museum, and she's a history major. And so she's full of great info, and she's new to cross stitching as well. She started during the pandemic. She was a quilter and I believe a knitter before that, but she just got into cross stitch in 2020. And boy, is she into cross stitch. She knows all the things. She's like, she knows all the Flosstube stuff. And so she's got lots of great WIPs on the go, and she's got several finishes already. And so I think you would enjoy her too. She's delightful. So those are my shout outs for this week, as well as my friends, who I'm going to list at the end here so that I don't get all sappy and mushy and say, get all like emotional about my stitchy friends. You're all my stitchy friends. I truly love you all. I love to hear from you all. And so I look forward to catching up with you and hearing from you all. Please drop me a line anytime. I really mean it. And I will see you next time, whenever that is. Bye, guys.